Hello there. Welcome to episode 4. Before we start, however, keep in mind that although fun and learning are the primary goals of all episode activities, serious injuries may occur. For your own safety and the safety of others, please refrain from. You'll notice that for the first time I am using the same voice and persona between 2 episodes. This is because I aim to create negative continuity between episodes for stylistic reasons, and the only thing more discontinuous than changing persona every episode is changing my mind about changing my persona every episode. That, and I did so enjoy being Caroline. Wait, who's Caroline? Did I kill her? Anyway, this episode has been quite some time in the making, primarily as a consequence of me being preoccupied with a high volume of work on bringing about, and/or preventing the bringing about of the robot apocalypse. Haha, you think I'm kidding? To compensate, this time-lapse video runs at ludicrous speed, otherwise known as 12 times speed, so includes more progress than previous episodes. As an added bonus, you get to hear me talk almost the whole way through this one. How lucky for you. Right now, I'm working on building a surround for the monkeys which gives the impression of being part on an ancient rock-carved monument. The symbols on the backing don't mean anything in particular. I did consider looking for specific kanji symbols to spell out a thematically relevant message, but found that it was difficult to properly recreate the required shapes without excessive part count. Now, this next part of the video is in need of a spoiler warning. If I were you, I'd go ahead and skip to 5:46, because coming up now is something which I think is best left as a surprise for the final on-ride video. Go on, skip. Where's your sense of mystery and wonder? If you keep watching, it's going to be like finding out what your non-denominational December gift-giving holiday present is before you open it. There's no fun in that. You're not skipping? Even when I told you exactly why it would be better for everyone if you just skip ahead? You're impossible. You must be such a disappointment to your loved ones. This must be why, insert spouse name here, left you. Very well. If you insist. You're only hurting yourself. Don't worry about me. I'm not upset. Not upset at all. And even if I were, I wouldn't want you to feel guilty for what you're doing to me. No, you shouldn't feel guilty at all. You monster. Here comes the secret. The monkeys are going inside the mountain. No, that's not a euphemism. I'm excavating the interior of the mountain to create a dark ride section preceding the lift hill, featuring my Three Monkeys tableau as a centerpiece. Let me explain how this all fits together. The Three Wise Monkeys pictorial maxim has its roots in Tendai Buddhist legend. The design concept of this park is to create the appearance of an ancient sacred site dedicated to the Three Monkeys maxim. To this end, the architecture of the park draws upon that of Buddhist temples. Up to this point, I've focused primarily on the style common in Thailand, notable for its use of gable roofs which are split into tiers both laterally and longitudinally. Another notable form of architecture found in Buddhist tradition is rock-cut architecture, embodied by sites such as the Barabar Caves in India. This site is a complex of subterranean temples, painstakingly carved into the rock of a mountainside. With the dark ride section, I aim to evoke the feeling and atmosphere of these caves, with some added artistic license and theme park magic. Each of the monkey figures is illuminated in the color of the track corresponding to its name. red for see no evil, orange for hear no evil, and yellow for speak no evil, in accordance with the colorings of the coasters in the original RCT-1 Three Monkeys Park. With the top enclosed by terrain, the lighting remains active during the day. Off-camera, I add a series of steam particle effects to further add to the ambience of the area, along with rock-carved facades for the entrance and exit of the cave. Welcome back to those of you who skipped over the secret part. Good for you. That must have required some serious self-control. That's a valuable life skill. And for those of you who didn't skip ahead, I'm very disappointed in you. Very disappointed. But I digress. I'm now working on developing the station and surrounding plaza. This time the station area will be fully enclosed. In the previous build I opted for an open-air station to replicate the feeling of the RCT-1 ride. Now that the loading area of the station is much further back in order to accommodate the synchronization area, I can maintain the open-air entrance to the tunnel while still featuring a fully enclosed and fully themed station building. The new station building also extends back into the cliff face to provide an enclosed shelter for the transfer track and train storage and maintenance area. The bridge across the coaster tracks will now be integrated with the station structure, forming part of an upper deck which will house the queue area and provide a mezzanine lookout over the loading area. Next comes the new and improved transfer track and storage area. The transfer tracks in the original build were too constrained by space to function realistically, particularly for the original orange track. The Mobius loop layout of the new build provides a novel advantage here. Because all three lanes form a single continuous circuit, only a single lane needs to have access to the transfer track. Spare trains for all three lanes can be added to the rightmost lane from the transfer track, and cycled through until synchronization is achieved. That's in theory, anyway. In-game the track features only 4 block sections as a requirement for timing. Now for some more work on the station proper. The station will draw upon more Thai architecture, but with a twist befitting the twisted theme of this build. A particular source of inspiration is Wat Rong Kun, otherwise known as the White Temple. A modern temple building built in 1997 that channels classical Buddhist architecture, but plays with elements to create a dreamy, surreal aesthetic. What I aim to create is this building's evil twin, from the dark side. I aim to make this building look as though it has risen from a dark underworld, resplendent in black, almost ethereal. Not of this world. A fitting home for the 3 twisted monkeys. The foundation level of the structure will be clad with this grey wooden paneling material. This design is a reference to the grey wooden cliff texture from the original RCT games. The foundation level of the structure will be clad with this grey wooden paneling material. This design is a reference to the grey wooden cliff texture from the original RCT games. This is particularly evident in the angular shape of the tunnel archways, matching the shape of tunnels from RCT-1. These archways mysteriously disappear soon, though it's not because I've decided I don't like them. It's just that the game decided that this is where it would crash. I would have lost quite a bit more were it not for the regular autosave feature, of which I'm becoming a big fan. It's actually been very stable on the whole. This was just unfortunate timing. OBS, on the other hand, After the crash, I decided to do some work on the pathing. Originally I'd planned to have both the entrance and exit routed up through the mezzanine level, but because the exit gate is at the front of the station there is an unavoidable crossing. Either as inefficient crossflow in the loading area, or an intersection between paths which cannot be resolved nicely. The solution I came up with was to route the exit path straight out through the front of the facade and discreetly off to the side. This leaves the front of the upper level clear for an elaborate grand entrance to the temple through which the entrance path can be directed. Now for some work on the roof. Unfortunately, an issue with OBS caused the footage of the pieces you can see here being made to be lost. The part you missed consists of me putting together a modular roofing kit for Thai-style tiered gable roofs. Roof geometry is a very important focus of Asian architecture as compared with Western architecture. I think this is a very interesting idea, as it builds on the premise that a building's primary function is shelter, as provided by the roof, and abstracts this idea to push the limits of what the form of a building can be. In Western architecture this is a very modern way of thinking about design. And I think the juxtaposition between old and new that this creates in Asian buildings is intriguing. As such, the geometry of the roof will be a very important part of realizing my vision for the design of the station building. The next few minutes covers some experimenting with roof geometry that doesn't make it into the final design, so I'm going to use this as an opportunity for some meta-discussion. First off, with the rate at which the channel has been growing, I've passed a few important subscriber milestones that I haven't had a chance to comment on. I'll do so now. Nice. 420 blaze it. Though I'm not in the US, so it has no political meaning, and I've never heard anyone reference it in real life other than at a Thy Art is Murder concert, but all the same, it's a hallmark of internet culture. Oh look, it's a nice round number if you happen to use a base 10 counting system. I'm holding out for 2 to the power of 10, myself. Glad I got that out of the way. Now, we've come to another choose your own adventure stage. If you'd like to watch another 3 minutes of roof building, and who wouldn't, keep playing. On the other hand, if you'd like to see a sneak preview of part of the on-ride footage, go ahead and skip to 15:13. This isn't a test. You're really free to do whatever you want this time. And if it were a test, it would be impossible, so you should give up now. Just kidding. It was a test. And you failed. Right when we were all counting on you. I hope you're happy with yourself. Did you know that the voiceover in this video was produced in 53 separate parts edited together in production? Isn't that interesting? I knew you'd find it interesting. I can read you like a book. And here's what it might look like when it goes on top of the station. Perhaps. I'm still not entirely satisfied with it. Just like your loved ones with you. But of course I have much higher standards. than your loved ones have for you. And you still disappoint them. If only you hadn't watched the secret part. And, as promised, here's the on-ride preview. Just a sequence of elements I'm particularly pleased with. Keep your hands and feet inside the car at all times, and for the safety of yourself and others, please refrain from I do what I must, because I can.